Okay, as you can see, I've moved on past the last video, and I now have two corrected images here, one from 1992 and one from 2010. And I have corrected these for sun elevation, both of them, even though they are fairly close together by day. They actually were only 2 days apart, but I went ahead and did corrections on them. And I also have clipped them to the Cook County boundary, as you can see here, with that Cook County boundary. And I'm actually going to focus on a location in the northwest suburbs. I think you can see here, there's 1992, there's 2010, and I'm looking at an area it's fairly close to where I live, where the former Glenview Naval Air Station was located. Here it is right here, so there it is in 1992, and you can see the old air station. Actually was an airport that dated back to the 1920s, Chicago's first airport. And during the 90s and the first decade of this century, it was redeveloped as a new urbanist development called the Glen in Glenview. So you can see that redevelopment taking place there. And I also have the image base map back behind me. So here we go. This really is a very simple process. We use the raster calculator again, and we have our two layers here. And as I mentioned, we'll take the 2010 layer and we will subtract the 1992 layer from that, and that's it. Very simple, right? So it's running and doesn't take very long, and so now we have our difference image. Here's what the raw difference image normally looks like. You can see it's relatively gray, and then there's some very dark areas where things got where things got darker. And then there are very light areas where things got much lighter for one reason or another. Again, this is part of the problem, is to sort out exactly what happened. So what we'll normally do is we'll turn these two raw, or not raw, but source images off, and we'll take this, and the first thing we'll do with it is we'll run through the unique values process here, and that'll create a histogram that we can work with in the classification or the classified module. So we'll go to classify that, and we'll classify, and you can see the histogram is very normal, as it almost naturally, but very commonly is in a difference image. And we're going to go to 3 classes here, and we really just want to look at the tails. So I'm gonna take a look at the tails here, and I'll take it down to around plus 29, plus 30 or so, and minus 29. Let's go to about 26 there. So negative 26 to positive 29, and that'll be the area that really has not changed there in the middle, and then we're more interested in the tails out here. So when that's classed, it's very common to use a bright red for the areas that got darker, and a bright green for the areas that got lighter. And then this middle section where there was no change, we make that transparent and apply that. And what we see is now a change layer here that shows the areas that changed in that period of time. Now, you can tinker with those boundaries and get it to show just exactly what you want, and you can check one layer against the other so that you're certain what you want, and then click on your change layer to see how well you've done. So that's part of the process of analysis as you work through this. And then I would ultimately work with this in the layout module, probably with some sort of base map, possibly with the image. Excuse me. Possibly with the image, and work with this in some way. And you can do some fairly interesting things with this, including using the transparency effect on the difference layer, and so that actually sometimes works fairly well. I think if you look at this closely in the data view, you'll see that using transparency with this, with the proper base map, and I'm not convinced that this is exactly the perfect base map, but using a transparency where the new areas show through is is quite effective in this application. So there you go. Change analysis with raster calculator.